middle of a live stream. We have to talk about Kathleen Kennedy. We are on Kathleen Kennedy, is she fired or not? Watch. I am Mecca. And, where's the thing? Where's the thing? Where's the thing? Oh, I gotta do the thing. And if I don't do the thing, then we're not gonna do the thing in the right way.
Are they harbingers of world change? These secrets in the fields. Are they harbingers of world change? These secrets in the fields. Are they harbingers of world change? These secrets in the fields.
The following The following video is brought to you through the generous support of viewers like you. If you like this content, then please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing this video. And for those who are in the position to donate, this channel thanks you. And so does this orange cat.
Please subscribe to this channel. We are in the middle of Kathleen Kennedy watch. Her middle name isn't Karen, but it'd be funnier to think it is. It's funny to say. There she is. She's announced all of these projects that have failed. She's fired more directors than she's hired. Let's go over a brief thing about Kathleen Kennedy. I don't think that her being fired is going to fix Star Wars. I don't think her being fired is going to amount to one lick of difference when the entire entertainment industry is in this creative bankrupt sort of... Well, first off, we're in the middle of the studios wanting to use ChatGPT and AI instead of writers, and that's the one thing they are not budging on with this writer's strike. And they're even going so far as to try and bring in the Screen Actors Guild, the actors onto the writer's side here, because, they're giving us nothing but, in my opinion, probably ChatGPT completely averaged out, put in a blender, run through a computer, run through an algorithm, paint by numbers movies. And I think people like Kathleen Kennedy are using that. They're relying too much on these new technologies because they can't create something new. What's the last time anybody in Hollywood created anything? Maybe George Lucas. Maybe the John Wick movies were the last original ones, huh? Those were pretty original and recent. Maybe. No, really, we're treating these nostalgic properties that are being run by a low-level middleman producer, by like an executive producer, not the people who wrote them or directed them or produced them, but not the people who created them, not the people who came up with the ideas in them, not the people who knew how to put point A to B to C in a movie, to keep movies in a 3-act structure for reasons. They left somebody whose job it was to handle money, get coffee, whatever she did, in charge of now take over these creative properties. I think they did it on purpose, knowing that they were gonna just go ahead and tank under Disney, because what does Disney do? They McDonaldize. They mass produce, they churn these things out on an assembly line like they're fast food. Now, they take all the this is what happens. This is now McDonald's probably in the 1950s. Back when they originally started it was probably a lot better than we get now, but now we've got this mass-produced garbage, right? And that's where we are with Hollywood and entertainment for the most part when we get these big franchises, isn't it? When we get all these giant, like the Indiana Joneses and the Star Warses and the Willow. Was Willow even that big of a property? I don't think Willow was that. It was like a weird thing to begin with. She screwed up Willow, and Willow was weird and screwy to begin with, wasn't it? So now we are seeing all of these articles. Is she fired? Is she not fired? Here, why is it trending? Why is her being fired trending? I want to go one step further. I don't know what good it would do if they did fire her here. So here we are, just a slew of these. Kathleen Kennedy reportedly fired, according to pretty much every one of these. I don't think that. First off, they're all going back to the same couple of sources. It's all still back to Overlord DVD on YouTube and Cameron Pasha and their sources, which we know I've been hearing, is Kathleen Kennedy fired since I lived in Wisconsin in 2018. So yes, I've been hearing, is Kathleen Kennedy fired? Should she be fired? Will she be fired? To save Star Wars from further embarrassment. I think a lot of this is some sort of marketing push to get Dave Filoni or Jon Favreau, one of those people probably has somebody on their behalf, definitely encouraging or, responding to, retweeting, quote tweeting, getting a lot of the influencers to run with, to get one of them to take over. I don't know. I think Star Wars is one of those properties that maybe people kind of need to take a break from, because it's like caring who runs McDonald's at this point. Do you care who runs McDonald's?
Not at all.
Not at all. What difference does it make? It's like one corporate studio takeover from the original is not going to be any different. Like, who's to say Jon Favreau, just because he loves it, or Dave Filoni, even if they are trained under George Lucas, I mean, they're only doing right now. What are they doing right now? They're making the hardcore stuff for this specific little dedicated audience of people who like the cartoons and the animated series. They're making it for those people, the people who like that prequel era, modern day sort of expanded universe, sort of Clone Wars and the Rebels people, right? Which to me still kind of falls under the McDonaldization of Star Wars. Once they started doing the prequels, once they started doing, once that stuff started happening, once he went back into the special editions, is kind of when Star Wars, that was like the first big, hit. That was the first thing that knocked him down halfway, right? And then the prequels, and now they're selling, and now Star Wars is a new thing, and so why is Kathleen Kennedy fired trending? Because a lot of people are very worked up and are on this hope train that somehow the thing that they've replaced real life friends and family for, these fictional characters in these movies, are going to somehow not be defiled any further if some new person comes in. Because I've heard people saying, yes, they're literally propping up and R-wording my dead family member's corpse over and over and over again. And I'm like, I'm not related to these people. Indiana Jones is not my family member. Not only that, he didn't even die in it. Spoiler. It's a movie that I can separate at a point when there is a selling of it. When there is a sell-off point, right? Is that a good place? That's mine. I don't know. Everybody's going to have their own cutoff point. And everybody, I think on like this side of it, are under the impression that somehow it matters that it's going to, like, it matters who's in charge. I don't know. So that's why we were getting all these rumors. Star Wars fans rejoice after reportedly Lucasfilm fired controversial executive. Some of the rumors now, we've heard that her email didn't work, that people tried her email and it didn't work. Mm-hmm. And now her email is working at Lucasfilm or at Disney. And again, this all goes back to the same couple of rumors, the Cameron Pasha Doomcock rumors. And I will tell you from experience, I think Doomcock embellishes a lot of his rumors, in my opinion. In my opinion, he is very more interested in telling a story and entertaining, which is why he spends, 5 minutes setting up and establishing the lair and the lore and the mythology. Because he's more interested in spinning a story, which is why he spends about 5 minutes spinning a story. And the story now is that it's going to somehow reanimate the dead people that they've hurt. I don't know. What do you think on this? What do you think? So this is all the I'm taking the lead on this, and I
think there's something to that. I think there's something to that we've heard.
Right now, they're being allowed to run with it, but right now, like Inside the Magic and Fandom Wire, and
I think that
ComingSoon.net is being allowed to run with this now.
Yeah, I think there's something to. I think something is happening behind the scenes.
She's getting a talking to, in my opinion.
Listen, you don't F up that badly without your boss saying, hey, what do you have to say for yourself?
Here's the thing, though. In the entertainment industry, these movies are pretty much doing what's projected. They can write off anything in this as they're toxic fans. They started a hate campaign.
What would
they
you
did
rather?
a thing.
What would you rather have? A $250 million write-off or $1 billion in profit?
Yeah, and nobody's gonna be smart enough to counter with that. You know, people like, I still know that people answer to people, right? It's like people always go, oh well, BlackRock and Vanguard, now they're finally gonna get investigated. But BlackRock and Vanguard still answer to their shareholders. Disney still answers to their shareholders. And with enough people on the internet saying to the shareholders, hey, here's what they're doing. And this is why my channel's suppressed. And the storytelling and the embellishment and the bullshit are all promoted to the top. Because I'm telling you, from the real business standpoint, what's probably going on behind the scene.
Here's the thing about BlackRock and Vanguard. All they do is take people's money, and when they say, hey, I want you to take $50 million of my money and invest it, yes, sir. That's all they do. That's all they do. They are taking other people's money, and they are investing it for them. Granted, now listen, those people, whether it's the Koch brother, whether it's the Koch network, whether it's Dennis Prager, whether it's Peter Thiel, whether it's whomever, I don't care whomever it is, okay? If I have a big stack of money, I'm giving it to Vanguard. Hey, make this big stack of money to even more money. That's all they do. They're not some sort of insidious power brokers behind the scenes. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. Oh, BlackRock and Vanguard, They're investment firms. Listen. Why them? Why aren't you saying Merrill Lynch?
Yeah, because Merrill Lynch probably is funding the anti-BlackRock and Vanguard thing. Why aren't you? Merrill Lynch is doing the same thing.
we used to have commercials when I was a kid. E.F. Hutton, when E.F. Hutton talks, people listen. I mean, these firms have been around for ages.
J.D. Power.
J.P. Morgan Stanley.
J.P. Morgan Stanley. Yeah, Morgan Stanley. All of these.
The Carnegie Foundation.
And this is all old money. This all goes back to like this old money, right? But at the same time, they just want to keep making more money. But I don't know if they're to the point where they have so much money that they don't know what to do anymore.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, this wealth has gotten so concentrated that, but that's a whole other
That's podcast. That's a whole other issue. And that could get into the more political aspect of it. But that's more global politics instead of like just American.
You better bet dollars to donuts that if something goes awry with somebody's money, the guys at BlackRock and Vanguard are getting phone calls. Hey, you lost me $50 million. What happened?
Yeah. And here's the other thing, though, with Hollywood right now. We're in such a financial downshift with an economic kind of blah. We're seeing, look at the interest rates on vehicles now when you're going around. This is why my channel's suppressed, because I'm talking real common sense, real business, real human, at a real human level. I'm not doing this knee-jerk cult shit of groomer shit. I'm not doing that. I'm going in real, here's the logical common sense thing. Kathleen Kennedy is a woman in Hollywood who has worked on every single picture from E.T. all the way up, right?
Jurassic Park or whatever.
All the way to Jurassic Park, through everything. I don't think she's going to go anywhere. I'm going to burst everybody's bubbles. I don't think she's going to be fired over this right now. Yet. I think, because I think, when's her contract up?
Her contract is supposedly up by this year, by the start of the third quarter. That's typically when they've announced her contract renewals.
So that's like October, right?
Late September. September 21st is the end. Well, September 27th is the end of the fiscal quarter.
Okay.
That they have to report to the wherever.
So we got a couple more months right now.
If anything, listen, it's not going to affect the stock price yet. They do a quarterly earnings call in September or early October, whatever. It's not going to, if they do announce something, it'll be now or it'll be then.
It'll be either now or then. So it'll be today or then.
Yeah.
The fact that these articles, I do think that maybe there might be something to it.
They also have Ahsoka coming up. They're not going to want to
poison the well for that.
Yeah, they're not going to fire her before Ahsoka comes out. I think that might be the thing. Well, let me see if Ahsoka does well. Let me see if we can fix it with Ahsoka. That's her ace in the hole. Is she's got one thing. Because look at Alex Kurtzman. She's always got a thing in the works. She's got her Daisy Ridley movie. She's got a thing. She's like, yes, but what if this Daisy Ridley movie's good? You never know, Bob. You never know. You never know what movie's going to be good. These people don't know. Look at them. Look at what happened. They had some weird independent movie about, whatever, doing well at the box office. Only because they were buying 3 tickets instead of 1.
Well, yeah. Bob could always counter with, well, you know what? You said that about the last few movies.
He could. He could.
If anything, she won't be fired. They, quote unquote, won't renew her contract.
She won't be fired. They won't renew her contract. Contract not renewed.
She will be allowed
She'll retire.
to exit.
She'll retire under her terms.
Yes.
Kathleen Kennedy, Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy announces retirement. They'll give her some award.
Is leaving Lucasfilm.
Is announcing her retirement. She's going to announce her retirement. Is what she's going to do.
Yeah.
At the very least, they're not going to fire her. If they fire her, I will be surprised. I will be wrong.
I think somebody that high profile, you don't get fired.
She's higher profile. Like Victoria Alonso is just some producer. This is the head of Lucasfilm. I don't know if they can fire her. I don't know if Bob Iger can fire her.
Well, they fired Victoria Alonso. I mean, they could fire, like I said, but that.
Well, she was also promoting another movie on the red carpet that was in competition.
That's what they used to justify.
Yeah, but she actually did that too. So.
And she sued. She played the LGBTQ+.
And she did, and I think they knew that she was going to sue. And I think they probably looked at that with Kathleen Kennedy. I think they probably said, "All right, well, if we fire her, what is she going to sue us for?"
Yeah.
What can she sue us for? All right, so we're going to have to do enough, let her fail enough to where there is no way we can renew her contract. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, give her enough rope to hang herself.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think maybe they're letting her announce all of those Rey movies just for the negative press. I think Bob Iger let her announce the Indiana Jones movie early just to say, oh, I saw it and it sucked. What do you think? Mazer, thank you so much. Perhaps Pope Bob Iger is about to invoke Revelation 666 to Kennedy, albeit behind closed doors, and we'll leave publicly quietly. Yeah. Thank you. She's so high profile, isn't she?
Yes. Kathleen Kennedy's stepping down as president of Lucasfilm. That's what it'll say.
I don't think it'll even say stepping down. I think she'll just retire. I think they'll just let her retire with dignity.
Well, that's
on her
down
terms.
Is.
Well, they won't say stepping down. They'll say is announcing her retirement.
Yes.
She's announcing her. It's going to be something like that. Because look at it this way. She's in her 70s. She probably wants to enjoy the rest. She wanted to give the closure to Indiana Jones. She cared about this one. I think she genuinely cared about this one. I think she genuinely wanted to give Indiana Jones a nice, happy ending.
Well, that's the movie that she was in one of them, and that's the movie she really first worked on.
Yeah. So I think she genuinely wanted to give Indiana Jones a happy ending. But she also wanted, as a businesswoman, wanted to continue the legacy. So I think she thought it was going to be a happy ending, leaving him dying in Rome and Phoebe Waller-Bridge taking the hat and replacing him. I think she thought that was going to be a good business sense because some idiot told her, oh, well, you can squeeze out years and years and years of more stuff if you just recast and replace. Because she's listening to these marketing algorithms. She's listening to all the wrong people. She's listening to Ryan Johnson. So she's listening to all these assholes who believe their own fart smells are super powered. These people. Oh yes, my poop doesn't stink at all. I'm the best thing ever. That's those people. Oh no, I know what's right. And if you recast Indiana Jones with a woman, you're going to get all this publicity. You're going to get all of these impressions on Twitter. You're going to get all this engagement. And look how popular this is going to be. And she doesn't realize it's everybody hating on it. Right?
I think so.
Do you think that sounds reasonable? Here, you want to take the hot seat for a second. Get any other? Do you got any other? Do you have any other?
I don't have any other. Listen,
is there any more on this?
You pretty much covered it all.
Oh, the Acolyte. What's going on with the Acolyte?
Acolyte. I don't know what's going on with the Acolyte.
Now Leslie Headland's working on another show now.
Yeah, so
that's
apparently
only gonna be a
that's.
season.
I think that's only been one season. They're going to cancel that, and they're just going to kind of sweep it under the rug.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I know everybody wants. Listen, I get it. Addition by subtraction. I mean, and there's been a systemic failure at Lucasfilm from the top. This is a failure from the top all the way down the ladder. But you gotta. I mean, listen. I know it's not gonna fix anything in the short term, but you do have to start somewhere. You do have to clean house.
Yeah.
You got to start somewhere. And the thing is, you can't just fire KK. You have to fire everybody. You have to get rid of all her cronies, all her little minions. As someone put it, all her flying monkeys. The lady who crossed out Luke Skywalker's face in that photo, you fire her. You fire Michelle Redjwan. Well, she left. You fire Pablo Hidalgo. You fire Justina Ireland.
Well, you bring in somebody, and then you say, hey, if you have a problem working under me, there's the door.
Yeah,
that's how you do it.
That's leadership. That's called leadership.
If
If
you have a problem working with me under me, and are loyal to Kathleen Kennedy still, and are going to undermine everything I do, there's the door.
Listen. Any CEO, any executive will tell you the same thing. Mark Cuban, actually, when he bought the Dallas Mavericks sports ball, he said, starting today, I am this team's biggest fan. And we want to win a championship. That is our goal. If you don't want to win, there's the door. Basketball people, go out and find the right players, and I'll sign the checks. You know what? And she doesn't have the right people around her. She's trusting all the wrong people. She was trusting the Kiri Harts. She was trusting the Pablo Hidalgos. She was trusting the Ryan Johnsons. She's trusting the James Mangolds. She's trusting
I would do a better job picking out up and coming hockey stars and them listening to me, knowing nothing about anything, than the people she's listening to, trying to fix and keep Star Wars for the rest of the future.
Yeah, everyone that was in that stupid story group meeting when the Get High Republic was puked up. Yeah.
Yeah, they need to get rid of all the
people
get rid of diversity 3 times and dinosaurs 3 times.
Everybody. You clean out your desk. You're out. You clean out your desk. You're out.
Yeah, they'll keep her, but they'll fire the whole story group and everybody in it.
And like I said, I want to walk in to Skywalker Ranch, and I want nothing in there but the copy machine. Mm-hmm. Okay? And maybe the Keurig, because I gotta have my coffee. Okay? That's the thing. Just clean house. You have to clean house. It doesn't do enough just to get rid of her. You gotta clean house. Star Wars is still damaged.
Yeah, you can't just cut out the growth. You gotta get the whole skin around it so it doesn't.
You have to get to the root cause of things.
You gotta pull up the root of the weed.
If you have a car that's leaking oil, you just don't add more oil. You gotta fix the leak. You know, that's the thing. Okay, they need to get rid of Favreau and Filoni while they're at it. Favreau and Filoni, listen. Favreau gave you the Mandalorian, and she even effed that up. She screwed that up. I don't
think the streamers really anticipate any. I think they know that those shows are going to go after 3 seasons. People get tired of them.
How much say will the investors have in this? Well, the investors are there to say, how come I didn't have a good return on my money? I'm not going to invest in it.
Remember, the investors are not just talking about this. These are people who care about the parks. These are people who care about other movies. These are people who care about... these are people who care about more than just Star Wars. So for every like stockholder or something that cares about this.
That's a good question, Morbid. How many more flops can Disney eat before they've had enough? At some point, we have to turn a profit. We have to turn up. Guys, we're bleeding money here. And, well, Bob, I have these. Blah 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 blah. I have X, Y, and Z. Kathy, that's what you told me about these other movies, and they failed too. You told me that's what you told me about The Rise of Skywalker. You failed. That's what you told me about Solo, and that failed. That's what you told me about. You told me the Book of Boba Fett was terrible.
How much is Indy gonna lose here? Let's look.
You told me that about Indy. You said he'd give you. You said to trust.
Let's look up Indiana Jones box office. How much is that gonna lose now?
It's gonna lose money.
Why
It's Been a Flop from 7 hours ago from Digital Spy.
Okay, it's only made 126 million.
And that... It's half good for the fans if they ask that question.
Why it's been a flop?
Because the movie's terrible. That's it. The bottom line, the movie's terrible.
It's just boring and
It's
redundant.
boring.
It doesn't need to exist.
It does. Yeah, exactly.
We broke the habit of going. All of the above. We
Indiana
don't have the
Jones
money.
Dial was meant to be a glorious send-off for Harrison Ford's iconic, but it hasn't exactly turned out that way.
People don't have $40 to go to the movie every week for 2 people.
Indiana,
Did they think of that?
Indiana Jones couldn't rebound in its second week and was overtaken by surprise Chopper, surprise chart topper. Yeah, Chopper. It's chart topper. Chopper. The Insidious Red Door. In the latest
That's a horror movie. Yeah, people like that one more because
they
got Ghost doing a song with Patrick Wilson in that.
In its the latest blockbuster to disappoint at the box office and leaves Hollywood in need of Tom Cruise to save it again with Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. Equally, its savior could come with Barbie and or Oppenheimer, but wherever it comes from, it won't be from a miraculous indie recovery.
If Barbie's good, it'll do well.
But why has Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny been a box office flop? Let's investigate. Before we get into the reasons why, here's where Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny stands at the end of the second week of release. In the U.S., the movie dropped 56% from its opening weekend to add $26.5 million for the $121.2 million a day. This thing cost $300 million. And it's only made $121 million to date in the U.S. And that's just in the U.S.
They have to give the box office half of that.
Including its overseas haul of $126.7 million, Indiana Jones 5 has grossed $247.9 million so far. It hasn't made its money back. It hasn't come close to making its money back. And you figure $300 million, it's still $50 million short of what it needed to make just to break even on the production cost.
Yeah, once Oppenheimer and Barbie come out, this is going to drop off a cliff.
Yeah, it's going to fall off a cliff in the next 2 weeks, okay?
I think this week, because you already have Mission Impossible this week.
Yeah.
You have that movie that shall not be named. That one did well because they're buying 3 tickets each.
Everybody's buying more tickets.
And now this one is going to just drop off a cliff because you got Barbie and Oppenheimer coming out. So you got 4 movies instead of this.
And let's not forget the promotional cost. You usually generally what you take the production budget and you double it.
And you triple it.
You
double it or triple.
Double it. And so this movie at least needs to make $650 million to break even.
And
which I don't think it's going to do.
Not only that, the theaters keep about half of what the movie brings in.
A sign of how poorly it's done so far is that it's still ranking as the lowest grossing Indiana Jones movie in the series, even though the original trilogy was released in the 1980s and no adjustment for inflation has been taken into account. By the end of its run, Indiana Jones 5 should have overtaken Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, $333.1 million. But Raiders of the Lost Ark, $389.9 million, isn't guaranteed to be surpassed by the new movie. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, $474.2 million. Indiana Jones: The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, $790.7 million, are too far ahead. Are they adjusting for inflation? I don't think they're adjusting for inflation.
No.
If there's comfort to be had, it's that the new indie movie will at least overtake the flop, The Flash. Currently at $261.6 million worldwide. Whatever happens in the coming weeks, though, it will still remain a box office failure. Assuming that Indiana Jones 5 ends up around $350 million to $400 million, its final result will come that some other 2023 blockbusters like The Flash would happily take. But a key part of why it's being viewed as such a flop is it costs a lot of money. Oh, yeah, you think?
They're costing too much money for what they're given. They're giving us crap.
Listen, the CGI was subpar. The plot was idiotic. Okay.
There's she punches him throughout the space-time continuum. There's a whole movie cut out.
If you were to if the dial only detects fissures that move you to different points in the timeline, but in the same space, meaning you just moved from 1969 to ancient Rome. In ancient Rome, it doesn't count for moving across space. Then when they go back, they would go back to 1969. over Rome, over Sicily, whatever it was. And now you have to get an unconscious Harrison Ford, unconscious 80-year-old Indiana Jones with probably a concussion. What, you drag him through customs in the airport? You drag him through...
This is going to be a half-an-hour video. This is a half-an-hour video.
Yeah.
But that's the whole full Kathleen Kennedy breakdown. Is she going to be fired or not? Kathleen Kennedy watch day 7,000.
Okay, well, 2.5 times the budget. Okay, it's safe to say, okay, put it simply, Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny was just too expensive to make, and its appeal was greatly overestimated. But it's also possible that Disney's marketing strategy just didn't work out in that case either, kneecapping the movie before it even started. More than a month before its release in cinema, Indiana Jones 5 received a splashy world premiere at Cannes Film Festival.
I told you they knew that was a bad idea. I told you Bob Iger knew.
It worked for Top Gun Maverick in 2022, hyping up the release. Yeah, but
for
Indy 5,
what I've heard.
It did anything but. Yeah, but it was a good movie from what I've heard. The movie debuted with the worst reviews of the series to date, even lower than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It's rebounded in the month since, and now stands a respectable 69. Well, they're fudging on Rotten Tomatoes, but still ranks as the lowest movie of the series. Rather than hyping it up as a must-see blockbuster, these initial reactions likely heightened fan fears that we had another Crystal Skull in our hands, even though that movie has had a reappraisal in recent years. When the more positive reviews did land, they still weren't exactly lauding it as a must-see. Dedicated Indiana Jones would have been put off, but wider audiences might go and see a new blockbuster. There's nothing to hear about Poob.
No.
There's no. How about, listen.
We did a whole video on them simping for her.
You're also not taking into account that he stands around and does nothing, just grumbles that he's old, while Poob does everything.
Without him even wanting to be there.
I want to die. I want to die.
She's stealing his stuff to sell on the black market.
She locks him in a cage with a bunch of Germans and leaves him there to die, for them to kill him. Listen, that first trailer you saw 7 months ago, that was as heroic as he's going to look. And that was cut out of context. The whole movie is her just upstaging him. All right, I'm ready to tap out.
All right.
I did find it funny that Shia LaBeouf's base kid died of Destiny, but stayed dead, unlike Marion. They're hiding Poob in the article. Yeah, they're covering for Poob, and they're covering for Kathleen Kennedy in this article, too. Well, it's not her fault. Well, it was too expensive. Well, that falls on her.
Yeah, that's her fault.
That's her fault.
She's the one who I'm tapping back in. She's the one who wrote the budget. She's the one who did the budget. She's the one who made up the thing. She's the one who hired and fired the director. She approved the script. She approved. Like Bob Iger, she had to do. I think Bob Iger's gonna be very mad at her. He's probably gonna slash any budget she gets because no, he gets money to give to her, right? Or no, she still has to get funding from other people though. So the budget, it doesn't matter. She's just losing money for friends, right?
Again,
who I want to know who are the people who invested in this.
This is a failure from the top. This is a top-down failure.
Right.
Everything about this movie failed. As failure written off, you failed to come up with a compelling script. You failed to get it on budget and on time. You failed to make good special effects. You failed to come up with an interesting premise. You failed to hire a director who was going to treat the source material properly. You failed to market the movie properly. You failed to hire a co-star that was personable and charming and had some on-screen charisma. Everything about this movie was a failure. This is a masterclass on how not to make a movie of a beloved property. The first thing I would have done was recast Indiana Jones. No, seriously.
And just continued it from back then.
Yeah, but in the 30s.
Yeah.
Listen, or you do the animated television series like that guy made the teaser for, the sizzle reel for.
I think the first thing I notice here, just look at his expression. Do people want to sit there and watch people go?
Listen, You want to sell these properties to a new generation. If you did an Indiana Jones animated series, if you did an Indiana Jones animated series on Disney Plus, you'd have how many kids saying, "Oh no, I saw this great cartoon on Disney Plus. It's like Indiana
Well,
something."
we'll talk more about Indy after I wrap this part up, because we'll get into that. But do you think Kathleen Kennedy is going to be fired or not? I don't think so. I think so. I think that there's too many people who...
I think there's too many people defending her, right or wrong. I think there's too many people defending her, and I think she will fall back on, yes, but I have this great record. Like, yeah, but what have you done for me lately?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think listen. When rich people start losing money, that's when people start noticing. No, seriously.
All right. I am going back to my live chat. Don't you go anywhere.